consummated the deal in the fall of '99, and we started looking for a building, which was the Savini building on 8th Street and Donner Avenue. The good thing was that we, like all our other programs, we rely on the industry experts. So in this case, the signature was Tom Savini, and having Jerry there.
He and I sat down and hammered out, a curriculum. Actually, Jerry was very much instrumental in it. Ran it past Tom, he had tweaks here and there. And finally, we got a curriculum. It's a 2-year school, and you're trying to get people out there, and they come here because they don't want all the academics. And so you had to make sure that it worked.
And our culture here has always been not to have an instructor academically, but to have somebody that worked in the field that had the knowledge and the ability to be a good instructor, but convey everything they learned in the industry. And Jerry was that perfect person.
Well, I was working for Optic Nerve Studios, and I was told my dad was really ill. He didn't have very long to live. And so I was going to take the summer off and come back to Pittsburgh and deal with that. So I told John I was taking the summer off, and I came back and I got on a movie called Children of the Living Dead, which Tom Savini was doing. And I was doing the pyro stuff, and that's where I met Jesse Leachock, and he became my assistant. And Jesse had been a student of mine at the Art Institute in Pittsburgh. While I was working on Children of the Living Dead, Tom goes, "I'm starting a school, and you could come here and be the instructor and run the program." And I didn't really want to do that. He goes, "Well, you got to at least come out and check the place out."
But Jeff informed me of growing up there, and it was his intention, which he has achieved, to put life back into Monessen. Businesses were moving in after the school started. So it's his hometown, so I understood that a lot, coming from my town here in Bloomfield, So I would say this is the Renaissance in Monessen.
We got students in right away from, I'm not sure what that first class where they were from, but I think there were some from Jersey, and I don't know if there was any from LA, but Tom had a good relationship with Fangoria, so his name on the program generated a lot of interest, and there wasn't a lot of makeup schools. I think maybe LA had a couple, but that was it. So there was no competition at all then.
So when the school first started, it was really kind of a free-for-all. I think it wasn't as organized and professional as it is. People would just do all this crazy stuff. There were these two brothers that built this harness, and it had a hook coming out of the chest, and they hauled it up in the tree, and they were making a commercial, and all the students had these black lab coats. Well, the people of the town didn't really know that the school here, they knew it used to be a convent, so they thought a satanic cult came in and were ritualistically killing somebody, beating him with sticks, and he's hanging up in the tree with a meat hook through him. And they called the police, and the police showed up, and they're laughing because they realized it was a school where we were shooting a commercial, and it was pretty funny stuff.
Even the community really was skeptical of what I was doing here. They found out very quickly these students were talented, they were good people. You don't judge a book by its cover. So all of a sudden there was this bond here. But from the students themselves, they were totally different. They were all about the classes and learning the skill sets. We literally had graduations in bars in the earlier years. The thought of them putting a cap and gown on was no way possible. Moving forward, it changed drastically. They wanted to be recognized. They realized the importance of the associate degree they're getting. Loved ones, their family are coming to graduation and recognize it, and they're wearing caps and gowns and so forth. So it's really been rewarding and refreshing to see.
Darren Holt is an example of students that show up and they've never sculpted before. And makeup effects is basically, it begins with sculpting. You have to be a sculptor. Put a blob of clay in front of him, and look what came out. I bought that from him in the second semester. They don't realize that they had it inside of them, and here it is. You put a blob of clay in front of them, and they've given life to something that never existed before. That's the joy of creativity, and that happens at the school every day.
Well, as the school progressed and grew, we needed more and more instructors because the program was expanding. We were adding new classes. The curriculum, we were trying to make it more versatile to stay current with the industry. And so we started bringing in all industry professionals. Every teacher that we've had here has been an industry professional coming from different aspects of the business so that you had a versatility. We had to expand into other buildings because the main Savini building was too small. So we expanded it into a prop shop and actually build a working shop and design it, which they would have a class called From Page to Screen, where they would take a script and they would break it down just like you would if you were on a feature film, and they would design all the stuff and then film it. It wasn't like they were doing individual projects like we were doing in the rest of the classes. It was always a team effort where everybody worked together like they were on a crew to get a finished product.
So Dick Smith was the greatest living makeup artist on the planet. In fact, everything we do, he invented. We enhance it, we add to it, you know, but he invented everything we do. He was the scientist of special makeup effects. So he would come and he would do portfolio review. In other words, he would sit in a room and one by one the students would come in and show them what they've done so far, you know. And he was brutal. We had to tell him, you know, back off a little bit. We want to keep these students, you know. But he was absolutely honest and brutal, which he always was.
And it just got to the point where he just couldn't travel anymore. So we had to come up with something else. So we got other industry professionals involved. We had K&B was involved. We had Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger. It just kept evolving to where we just called various companies and just brought a different person in every semester to do the portfolio review. And that's what we're doing now.
We've had so many media outlets come to the school, and I mean, it certainly helps with our publicity. But one of the main things that I remember is the Extreme Makeover Home Edition, where they would come and build a house for you in like 7 days. One of the families they built a house for had an autistic son who was crazy about special makeup effects. Donnie Drum is his name. He wanted to meet me. I saw a sketch he did of some monster and we created it, we sculpted it. So on the program, they knock on his bedroom door, the brand new bedroom door, the big shocking surprise of their brand new house. And you know, he's in there with a little make studio, and there's the maquette, which is the sculpture. And he wondered where'd that come from, you know? And they said, well, you know, Tom Savini made that for you. Oh, well, I wish I could meet him someday. Knock on the door opens. Hey, here he is, you can meet him right now, okay? He did become a student. And I just did a convention in Gettysburg where he had a booth selling props, masks and rubber hatchets and breakaway bottles. You know, he does conventions now with what he's learned, you know, from the school.
Yeah, we had the Independent Film Channel come in, and they wanted us to recreate a lot of the effects that Tom did from his films. You know, the arrow through the chest from Friday the 13th. And one of the effects was we were recreating blowing a head off with a shotgun. So I had some molds from Tom's shop and we cast up gelatin heads. And we didn't know where we could actually go and shoot them in Monessen with a shotgun. So we called the police and they said, well, there's this area down there, you know, on this one road, and you know, go down there and fire the shotgun, see who shows up. We'd like to know what jurisdiction that property is actually in. So we went down there, and you know, all the students were standing around, and you know, we had 3 fake heads, and we blew them off with a shotgun. It was fun.
So I went to Jeff with photos of the buildings. Jeff, look at all these haunted attractions in Toronto, you know. I told him all this stuff about what a haunted attraction should be. Monessen was a perfect example of geographically how they work. A town surrounded by small towns, and the crowd pours in, okay? Think about it, you set up a haunted attraction in the town where your school is, you've got an assembly line of makeup artists right there in the school. He made the decision and put the money behind starting a haunted attraction.
Hi, I'm Tom Savini.
Masterpiece, Tom Savini's TerrorMania, a horrifying haunted house in Monessen, created with the help of colleagues and makeup special effects students he teaches at the Douglas Education Center. Visitors exit in shock and then can't wait to go back inside.
He hired one of his great friends, Gutch, to oversee the construction of the maze, you know. There were 27 rooms in Tom Savini's TerrorMania. A lot of people never made it past the third room, which was the spider room. Security had to lead them out. They couldn't take it anymore. We had a subway, a swamp, a graveyard, caves. This was very well done. It was the best haunted attraction I've ever seen. And it was psychologically disturbing. We had this spider hallway with styrofoam peanuts on the floor, so you're walking on stuff. We had string hanging from the ceiling, so something was getting in your eyes. It was really annoying, and it has to be annoying, a haunted attraction. But we successfully did TerrorMania, and Jeff still misses it today. I miss it. It was great fun.
Well, we do a lot of conventions. Tom does conventions, I do conventions, the school sets up a booth. It's a big thing, and the people just really like it. I mean, they're big fans of Tom. They love to see the makeup demos, and then we hand out flyers and they think that maybe this is a cool thing that I might want to do, and then they get in contact with the school.
People bring their little 10-year-old son up. He's got these scars and makeup on him. He said he's very interested in doing this stuff. Well, aren't you lucky? Look at the school business, I wish I knew how many students are at the school because they came to my table at a convention and we talked about it. Because I tell them, especially if their parents are standing there, they want to know about the school. And the first thing I say, it's 16 months. It's a degree program. You can see the parents' eyes light up because they want their son, daughter to have a degree, okay? And I point at all the photos on my table of all the makeups I've done over the years, and I say, this is what you do all day.
But all of a sudden, there was this swell in interest in special makeup effects. And the Sci-Fi Channel had this hit program called Face Off. They reached out to us because they needed contestants. And they saw our program as well as some of our competitors and people in the industry. So a lot of our students and graduates at the time started expressing interest in it. And it just put the special effects, people that were never involved or knowing about it, it became mainstream that everybody was talking about it, and there was a huge following. So it just lifted the special effects program up.
We had a lot of our students go and participate in Face Off. We've had at least one, and if not more, students in every season of Face Off.
The winner of Face Off is Nora.
The winner of Face Off All-Stars is Sig.
Even Tom was a judge on one episode of Face Off. That was pretty cool to have him on there and judging students from his school.
There's so many people who wanted to be special makeup effects artists would tune into that show because they're seeing makeup effects being created, and I'm sure they were going, oh boy, I wish that was me. I could be doing that, So that affected a lot of people.
And it's been a real roller coaster ride. Really proud of all the students that have graduated and gone out and become top technicians in the industry. It's really great when I go out to conventions in LA like Monsterpalooza and I'm just bombarded by former grads who are just so excited to be out there and working in this exciting profession.
Graduates have worked on so many things. I had to have a list and put it in my pocket to read off to people. So many movies that the students have worked on, and television series, and mask companies, and toy companies, and haunted attractions, and theater. I mean, there's so many places where what we teach the student, where they can use the skills they've learned to work, okay? That makes me feel great, to have inspired them enough, to be responsible, to look at them and say, we gave you this. We trained you to do what you're doing. There were so many people that thought this was never going to happen. Jeff could have been one of them. Let's take a chance. Jeff rolled the dice, and that's why we exist today and still do. There's still students that come in, never touched a blob of clay, and suddenly they realize they could have been doing this, and it was inside. They didn't even know this thing, this creature, this makeup, this monster, this mask was inside of them until you put a blob of clay in front of them.
To sit here and be able to help somebody, help their family, not only you're impacting that student to become a graduate, is extremely gratifying, and I've been very grateful and thankful for that.